7 years after the water crisis in Flint, another Michigan community is struggling with high levels of lead in its water. Residents of the predominantly black and low-income city of Benton Harbor are being urged by the state to use only bottled water for cooking and drinking. Take a look at this. In Benton Harbor, there are up to 889 parts per billion of lead in water based on samples taken over a 6-month period earlier this year. The EPA says action should be taken at just a fraction of that when there are 15 parts per billion. Omar Villafranca is in Benton Harbor for us. Omar, good morning.
Good morning. Water safety is not a new issue here in Benton Harbor. They've had problems with lead in the water for the last 3 years. The city's main water source is Lake Michigan. It then passes through nearly 6,000 water lines, and the city says more than half are made of lead. What water do you use to cook?
The bottled water.
To brush your teeth?
Bottled water.
Bathe?
Bottled water.
For many people, bottled water is becoming a way of life in the small city of Benton Harbor, Michigan. Population 9,700. Earlier this month, the state started giving out more free cases of bottled water due to ongoing concerns about lead levels in the city's water supply.
These are water filters.
But Reverend Edward Pinkney is frustrated.
Before you can correct the problem, you have to acknowledge there's a problem.
Work together to.
He says Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer has not gone far enough to warn people about the risk.
Do you think that we're not even at the point where leaders are acknowledging the problem?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The governor said precautionary reasons. She should be saying that the water is unsafe to drink.
Benton Harbor's water problems stem from corrosion of the city's lead service lines. The state says corrosion control treatment has made modest improvements, but levels are still high in some sampled homes. According to the CDC, lead exposure is especially dangerous for children. In part, it can damage the brain and nervous system.
This is the same thing that you might find in Benton Harbor or any other community with lead service lines.
Water safety consultant Elin Betanzo says it's difficult for the average person to know if there's lead in their water.
You cannot see, smell, or taste lead in drinking water. If there's color in the water, that's usually from iron or other contaminants. There can be very high levels of lead in a glass of water, and there's no change in appearance.
Benton Harbor Mayor Marcus Muhammad says it will cost at least $30 million to replace the pipes. $28 million of state and federal money has been allocated to fix the problem, but it's been slow to arrive. This summer, Benton Harbor received $5.6 million, which was approved during the Obama administration. Muhammad expects all the city's lead lines to be replaced within the next 2 years.
Is that timetable satisfactory for you? Because you've known about this, and the city has known about this for a few years now.
Right. If I had a magic wand, I would solve it right now. But in government, things don't work that way. The reality of the matter is it takes time, it takes money, it takes resources.
Has any work started on fixing any pipes, even if it's not complete?
Work has started on fixing pipes, but it's a slow motion thing.
When people say this takes time, what do you tell them?
We don't have time.
Further complicating things, a water expert told us when fewer people use the water, the problem gets worse because the water just ends up sitting in the pipes for longer. The city's next round of compliance testing will be completed in December.
Omar, thank you. Seems like yesterday we were sending gallons of water to Flint for the people of Benton Harbor. We hope that this gets fixed.
I mean, these things don't seem to happen in white, affluent neighborhoods. It's because the money is there to make the replacements. It happened decades ago or years ago. It needs to happen now in every community.
No doubt about it.
The money's there and the people, you're right, it doesn't happen in places like Greenwich, Connecticut, Beverly Hills, California. It doesn't. And that gentleman was right when he said, we don't have time. Lives are at stake here.
Yeah.
And brains are at stake.
And things that need to be repaired are oftentimes overlooked in places that don't have the money.